Hi everyone, Anthony Morganti here. A month or two ago, I purchased this book. It's called Magnum Contact Sheets. This book contains many notable images from several famous photographers. And what this book allows you to do is see those notable images printed in a contact sheet. The contact sheet allows you to examine the photographer's creative process, how they work the scene, how they worked up to capture that one notable image. And looking through this book, it made me kind of reminisce of the days when I myself used to create contact sheets. Now, it's easy enough, like in Lightroom, to cull your images, to compare images to one another, but there is something to be said for being able to arrange your images in a grid, print them on paper, and have that tangible piece of paper in your hand and compare the images to one another that way. So I thought in today's video, I'd demonstrate how you could take your digital images that are in Lightroom and create your own contact sheets. And every now and then you'll run across maybe an editor or someone who will want contact sheets of your images to examine for themselves. So it is a good skill to know how to do. So let's go over to Lightroom, and step one, what you need to do is get all your images into a folder or into a collection, all those images that you want printed to a contact sheet. I have a collection that has 25 images in it. And when you're ready to print the contact sheet, go over to the print module. And you'll notice on the left-hand side, there actually is a few templates here for contact sheets. There's one, let's see, right here, 4x5. You can see if I hover over it in the top preview area, you could see a preview of what it would look like. There's a 5x8, there's a 5x9 landscape, and there's a 5x11 landscape. Let's go with the 4x5 and just click on it, and you'll see that the images now are laid out in this contact sheet. If not all of your images are showing up in the contact sheet, just select them all in the film strip. Just like click on the first one, hold the shift key down and click on the last one so that they all show up in the film strip. Now, personally, I never printed my contact sheets like this in a 4x5 portrait orientation. I did a 5x5 landscape orientation. So I'm going to demonstrate how you could create your own template of contact sheets so they're laid out the way you want them to be laid out. And again, sometimes every now and then you might run into an editor, particularly an old-timer, that may want contact sheets and they may want them a specific way. So it's a good skill to know how to create that contact sheet. So I want a 5x5 contact sheet laid out in landscape orientation. So step one is come over here and pick one of the contact sheets that is close to what you want. In this case, it is the 4x5 for me. Then go to page setup and change it to landscape because that's what I want. And the US letter 8.5x11 is fine, scale 100%, all that's fine. And click OK. Now we have our 5x5 contact sheet, except it really isn't 5x5, is it? It's 5x4. So we need to change that. Now we're going to go over to the right-hand side and see the page grid. Change the rows to 5. Now I have a 5x5 contact sheet. Now you could mess around with the margins and the size of the grids and the cell spacing. For example, if I go to horizontal and I move it to the right, you can see how I'm shrinking them down. If I move it to left, I'm making them larger. Same with the vertical. So you can move those around. Cell size is maxed out as it is. You could keep them square. You could uncheck that box and they won't be square. If you have the way you're doing it, if you ever run into the situation where your vertical images are not correctly oriented, like mine are correctly oriented, just click on Keep Square and that usually will flip them the right way. In this case, they are flipped fine, so I don't have to worry about that. So come in here to this layout area and just experiment with the sliders. Move those around and see if you could get them spaced out and sized the way you want them to be sized. And once you're done, which I am, it's exactly what I want, 5 by 5, has the file name underneath each of the images. I'm really good to go. What I want to do though is I don't want to recreate this template every time I come into Lightroom. I want to save it. So go over here in the template browser and hit plus and give it a name. I'm going to call it a 5 by 5 contact sheet. And I'm going to save it in the folder user templates and click create. And you can see down here now in user templates I have a 5 by 5 contact sheet, just like right there. And now once you have it, well, what do you do with it? Well, you could print it. Go to the print area, print job down here. You could go to draft mode printing or uncheck that box, and you could then add some sharpening, specify what type of paper you're printing it to, whether you want a 16-bit output, which really won't make any difference in this instance. How do you want color management? Do you want the printer to handle it, or do you want to handle it yourself? In this case here, you could just, because it's a contact sheet, just let the printer handle it. You could print adjustment. If once you print it, it's too dark or it's too contrasty or vice versa, just come in and move these sliders to readjust it so that you could get a better print from it. And then simply click on print. Now there may be an instance where you need to email your contact sheet. In that case, you need to save it to a file. If that's the case, on the print to area here, change that to JPEG file. And you'll notice that the print button now is grayed out and you could print it to a file. You click right here and then you just give it a name and save it to wherever you want to save it. In this case, I'm not going to do that. So it's really very easy now to create a contact sheet in Lightroom and to create your own contact sheet in Lightroom. Now, whenever I want to use a contact sheet and I want it to be a 5 by 5 contact sheet, just put all those images in a folder all by themselves or in a collection. Go over to the print module, click on my 5 by 5 contact sheet template, and then if I want to print it to the printer, print it to a file. From that point on, it's easy. So that's it. That's how you create a contact sheet in Lightroom. Thank you, everyone who watches my videos. I really do appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys soon.